For over 2 years, my father told every architecture firm in Connecticut that I was a thief, not because I stole anything, but because I refused to kneel. I am Stephanie Lawson, 27 years old, and I spent 2 years watching doors slam in my face. 47 applications, 47 rejections. I graduated summa cum laude from Yale School of Architecture with a 3.9 GPA, a portfolio my professors called exceptional, and recommendations that should have opened every door in the industry. None of it mattered. Because Richard Lawson, chairman of Lawson and Partners Architecture, my own father, had made sure no one would hire me. He told them I had sticky fingers, that I was unreliable, that our family was handling a situation privately. He thought 2 years of rejection would break me, thought watching me wait tables while he built his empire would bring me crawling back, begging for forgiveness I never owed him. He was wrong. He did not know about the envelope, the one my grandmother had prepared 15 years ago, sealed with red wax, waiting for this exact moment. He did not know why Catherine Monroe, CEO of the largest development corporation in America, had personally requested this interview. And he certainly did not know that in 45 minutes, something would happen in this room that would make 2 years of humiliation worth every single second. But before I tell you what happened in that interview, I need to take you back to the family that made me, and almost destroyed me. The Lawson family looked perfect from the outside. 3 generations of architects in Hartford, Connecticut. My father, Richard Lawson, 58 years old, chairman of Lawson and Partners Architecture. The firm had designed courthouses, museums, corporate headquarters across New England. Our colonial mansion sat on 4 acres of manicured lawn. The garage held my father's Mercedes, my mother's Lexus, and my sister Olivia's BMW, a graduation gift for finishing her interior design degree. Magazine features called us a dynasty. Charity galas called us generous. The neighbors called us blessed. They did not see what happened behind closed doors. My mother, Victoria Lawson, played her role to perfection. 55 years old, always in pearls, always smiling, always silent when it mattered. Her job was to maintain the image, host the dinners, never contradict my father. I cannot remember a single time she raised her voice to him. Not once in 27 years. Then there was Olivia, my younger sister, 24, the golden child. She had been groomed since childhood to inherit the firm. Father's favorite, mother's project, the family's future. Everything Olivia touched turned to opportunity. Everything I touched was questioned. I learned early that daughters had different places in the Thornton household. When Olivia wanted to study abroad in Paris, father wrote the check without blinking. When I asked about the same program 2 years earlier, he laughed. "What for?" he said. "You will get married eventually. Save me the money." I went to Yale, 40 minutes away, commuted from home, worked 2 jobs to cover what his grudging contribution did not. At family dinners, the conversation always orbited around Olivia, her projects, her promotions, her future. I sat at the end of the table, passing dishes and clearing plates while father carved the roast and dispensed wisdom to his younger daughter. "A woman builds her legacy through her family," he would say, pointing his fork at Olivia. "Remember that." He never pointed that fork at me. When I was 14, I overheard something I have never forgotten. My parents were in the kitchen, voices low, and I had paused outside the door. "Daughters do not need to create," my father said. "They need to follow. Stephanie will marry well. That is her job." I stood there in the hallway, frozen. That was the first time I understood. In my father's eyes, I was not a person with dreams. I was an asset to be managed, a problem to be controlled. That night, I called my grandmother. Before I could say a word, she spoke. "Your father told me what he said. And Stephanie, I want you to listen carefully. He is wrong. About many things. And someday he will learn that the hard way." I did not understand what she meant then. I was 14. But I never forgot her voice, the steel beneath the softness, the certainty that felt like prophecy. My grandmother, Eleanor Lawson, was the only person who ever made me feel like I mattered. She was 82 when she passed 2 years ago. What most people did not know, what the industry refused to acknowledge, was that Eleanor was the true founder of Lawson and Partners. In 1962, when women could barely get architecture licenses in most states, my grandmother designed buildings that changed Hartford's skyline. But she did it under her husband's name first, then under her son's name. My father, 40 years of brilliance, 0 credit. Eleanor never complained publicly, but she kept records, original sketches with dates, correspondence with clients, a lifetime of evidence locked away somewhere safe. Insurance, she called it, for when the truth needs to come out. Every summer from ages 8 to 16, I stayed with Grandma Eleanor in her brownstone in New Haven. The house smelled like lavender and old books. Every room was filled with blueprints, architectural models, volumes on design theory. She taught me to read building plans before I could read novels, showed me how load-bearing walls worked, how light moved through a space, how architecture could heal people just by giving them room to breathe. "Knowledge is freedom, Stephanie," she would say, tapping her temple. "No one can take what is in here." The summer I turned 12, something changed. We were sitting on her rooftop garden, watching the sunset paint New Haven gold and pink. Out of nowhere, Grandma took my hand. Her eyes were serious in a way I had never seen. "Stephanie, I want you to remember something. I need you to remember it." I looked at her, confused. "What, Grandma?" "Your father will try to control you, with money, with reputation, with family loyalty. Do not let him." "But Grandma, he is my father. I have already prepared something." Her grip tightened. "When the time comes, you will have a door he cannot lock." "What do you mean?" "You will know when you need to know. Until then, keep designing, keep dreaming, and never let anyone tell you what you cannot build." Before we left the rooftop that day, she pressed something into my hand, a small brass key, old and ornate. "This opens a safety deposit box at Hartford Savings Bank," she said. "Box 1247. When I am gone, what is inside belongs to you, not your father, not your mother. You." I kept that key hidden for 15 years. I never forgot the number. 1247. The memory faded as I blinked, and I was back in the present. The waiting room of Meridian Development Corporation, 47th floor, Manhattan skyline glittering through floor-to-ceiling windows. My hands were folded in my lap, steady now. They had not always been. 3 weeks ago, I received an email that changed everything. An invitation to interview for the National Architecture Innovation Award, sponsored by Meridian. I had submitted my project, a community center design called the Resilient Center, with 0 expectations. A Hail Mary from a waitress who used to be an architect. I did not even know I had made finalist until that email arrived. Other candidates waited around me. 3 men in expensive suits, 1 woman with a Yale architecture tote bag. They glanced at me, assessed my consignment shop blazer, looked away. I did not belong here, not in their eyes. But I had learned something in 2 years of waiting tables. The people who underestimate you are always the most surprised when you win. On the coffee table in front of me sat a copy of Architecture Digest, the current issue. My father's face smiled from the cover. Richard Lawson, Building the Future of American Architecture. I almost looked away. Then I noticed the smaller headline beneath. Lawson and Partners among finalists for Meridian Harborview Tower project. My father was competing for a partnership with the same company about to interview me. The universe had a cruel sense of humor. A young man from Meridian's staff crossed the waiting area. As he passed, he paused beside my chair, leaned in slightly. "Ms. Monroe asked me to tell you," he said quietly, "your grandmother would be proud." Then he walked away before I could respond. How did he know about my grandmother? How many people at Meridian knew the real story? The web Eleanor had woven was larger than I had imagined. The receptionist appeared. "Ms. Lawson? They are ready for you." The other candidates looked up. Surprise flickered across their faces. I was being called first. That was not normal. I gathered my portfolio, stood, and walked toward the conference room. My heels clicked on marble, my heart pounded, but my hands were steady. The conference room stretched before me, long mahogany table, 8 leather chairs, 5 executives already seated, floor-to-ceiling windows with Manhattan sprawling below like a circuit board of ambition. At the head of the table sat an empty chair. "Please, Ms. Lawson," one of the executives said. "Have a seat. Ms. Monroe will join us shortly." I sat, arranged my portfolio, waited. The executives made small talk among themselves, weather, traffic, weekend plans. But they kept glancing at the door, waiting for something, someone. The door opened. Catherine Monroe walked in. Everything in the room shifted. The executives straightened in their chairs. The air itself seemed to change density. This was not just a CEO walking in. This was the woman who had built Meridian Development Corporation from nothing, who had broken every ceiling in a male-dominated industry, who had designed buildings in Dubai, Singapore, São Paulo. 58 years old, silver hair cropped short, charcoal suit that probably cost more than my old apartment. She looked at me, did not smile, did not speak. Just studied me for a long moment that felt like an hour. Her eyes were sharp, assessing, seeing something the other executives could not see. Then she reached into her briefcase, pulled out a folder, set it on the table between us. "Ms. Lawson," she said. Her voice was low, measured. "Before we discuss your qualifications, there is something I need to show you." She opened the folder. Inside I saw photographs, documents, a letter on yellowed paper with handwriting I would recognize anywhere, and something that made my breath catch in my throat. A red wax seal. Broken. Identical to the one on the envelope my grandmother had given me 15 years ago. "I think," Catherine Monroe said quietly, "we need to talk about your grandmother." The room went silent. I stared at the broken seal, at Eleanor's elegant handwriting visible through the documents. Whatever was in that folder, my grandmother had meant for this moment, had planned for it, had prepared it years before I understood I would need it. The question that had haunted me for 2 years, why her, why now, why Meridian, was about to be answered. But first, I had to hear what Catherine Monroe knew about a woman who had been dead for 2 years. And why that woman's secrets had led me here, to this room, to this moment, to the beginning of everything. Catherine Monroe's words hung in the air. "We need to talk about your grandmother." I stared at the folder between us, at the broken red seal, at handwriting I would recognize anywhere. Questions flooded my mind. How did she have Eleanor's documents? What else did she know? How long had she been waiting for me to walk through that door? Catherine raised a hand, sensing my confusion. "Before I show you what is in here, I need to understand something." She leaned forward, her eyes sharp and searching. "Your father has called 17 architecture firms in the past 3 years. Every call contained the same message. His daughter is a thief, unreliable, a family disgrace." She paused, letting the words settle. "I need to know, Ms. Lawson, what exactly did you steal?" I took a breath, steadied myself. Nothing. I stole nothing. Then why would a father destroy his own daughter's career? I looked at the folder, at my grandmother's handwriting visible through the papers. Because I refused to be owned. I paused, feeling the weight of years pressing against my chest. It started with $3,000. Let me take you back 8 years. To the moment my father decided I was his enemy. Fall semester, 2016. I was 19 years old, a sophomore at Yale School of Architecture, one of 12 women in a class of 48. For the first time in my life, I was thriving. Professor Hendricks called my work ambitious, technically precise, emotionally intelligent. I stayed late in the studio every night, designing buildings that existed only in my imagination but felt more real than anything in my father's world. I was finally being seen, finally being valued for what I could create. But architecture school demanded more than talent. It demanded tools. The software we used, AutoCAD, Revit, three-dimensional rendering programs, required computing power my laptop could not provide. I had a 5-year-old Dell, a hand-me-down from high school, and it crashed constantly. Every time I saved a file, I held my breath. Corrupted projects, lost work, hours of rendering that vanished into digital nothing. Other students had MacBook Pros, custom-built desktops, equipment that matched their ambition. I had a machine that belonged in a museum. Thanksgiving break, freshman year. I sat at the family dinner table waiting for the right moment. My father carved the turkey. My mother arranged flowers. Olivia scrolled through her phone, bored by everything that was not about her. I cleared my throat. "Dad, I need a new computer for school. The rendering software keeps crashing." He did not look up from his phone. "How much?" "About $3,000. For a workstation that can handle the programs." Silence, the kind that made my stomach clench. "That is a lot of money for a hobby," he said. "It is not a hobby, Dad. It is my major. It is architecture." Olivia smirked. My mother studied her plate. My father finally looked at me, his expression unreadable. "Fine, use the family card, but only for school expenses. Nothing frivolous. Do you understand?" "Yes, thank you." That was the end of the conversation. I thought it was simple. Permission granted, problem solved. 2 weeks later, I bought the computer. A Dell Precision workstation. Exactly what my professors recommended. $3,147, including tax. I kept every receipt. Emailed copies to my father's assistant. Called home to confirm. "I got it, Dad. Thank you." His response was a grunt. "Mm-hmm." Then he hung up. I thought that was the end of it. 3 months later, spring semester, I was in the architecture studio working on my midterm project when my phone buzzed. My father. He never called. Something cold settled in my stomach. "Come home this weekend. We need to discuss something." His voice was ice. No warmth. No explanation. "What is wrong? Just come home, Stephanie." He hung up before I could ask anything else. Saturday afternoon. The Lawson Mansion. I walked into the dining room and found my father at the head of the table, a credit card statement in his hand. My mother stood by the window, arms crossed, not meeting my eyes. Olivia was nowhere to be seen. Conveniently absent. $3,147. My father's voice was quiet, controlled. The kind of quiet that came before explosions. "For the computer, you approved it. I approved school supplies, notebooks, maybe a printer." "Dad, I told you exactly what I was buying. I sent receipts. I called to confirm. You did not ask permission." His voice rose, the control cracking. "You went behind my back. You spent my money without proper authorization. Do you know what that is called?" "I called you. I explained. Theft." The word hit like a slap across the face. "You stole from this family." The room tilted. I had asked. I had explained. I had documented everything. But Richard Lawson was not interested in facts. He was interested in control. "This is what happens when I give you an inch," he continued. "You take a mile. From now on, you will pay back every cent, with interest. And you will work for it. I was going to get a job anyway. You will work here, at the firm. Summers, weekends, filing, whatever Marcus needs. His assistant manager, his loyal lieutenant. And until you have repaid your debt, you will remember what you are." His eyes were cold, satisfied. A thief. I turned to my mother. She stood by the window, frozen. "Mom, you know this is not fair. You know I asked permission." Her jaw tightened. Seconds stretched into eternity. Finally, she spoke. "Your father is trying to teach you responsibility, Stephanie. Do not make this harder than it needs to be. Not a defense. Not even neutrality, a betrayal wrapped in maternal concern." I understood then. In the Lawson family, there was my father's truth, and there was silence. Nothing else existed. That night, I called my grandmother. Before I could say a word, Eleanor spoke. "I heard." Your father called to tell me what a disappointment you are. Grandma, I did not steal anything. I asked permission. I have receipts. I know, sweetheart. I know exactly what happened. Then why is he doing this? Because you succeeded without his help. Because you are thriving somewhere he cannot control. Because you remind him of me. What do I do? Her voice hardened. Something steel and ancient in it. You survive. You pay him back. Not because you owe it, but because it takes away his weapon. Keep every receipt. Document every payment. And then, Stephanie, you never forget what he is capable of. I returned to Yale with a new mission. 2 jobs. Campus library, 15 hours a week at $11.50 per hour. Weekend barista at a coffee shop near campus. 12 hours at $9 per hour plus tips. 27 hours of work on top of a full-time architecture course load. Sleep became a luxury. My social life disappeared. Other students went to parties, joined clubs, built networks. I worked, I studied. I collapsed into bed at midnight and woke at 5 to do it again. 8 months. That was how long it took. 8 months of double shifts and all-nighters. I lost 15 pounds I could not afford to lose. Migraines became weekly visitors. My hands shook from exhaustion. Professor Hendricks pulled me aside more than once. Stephanie, you look exhausted. Is everything okay? I smiled and lied. Just working hard. I could not tell him the truth. Could not admit that my own father was punishing me for being a good student. I kept everything documented, every paycheck stub, every deposit receipt, a spreadsheet tracking every dollar, date, amount, running balance. I sent monthly updates to my father's email, professional, precise, without emotion. Payment number 1, $487. Remaining balance, $2,660.47. He never responded, not once. October, junior year. I transferred the last $234.67, sent the final email. Balance paid in full. Attached, please find complete payment records and original receipts. I waited for something. Acknowledgement. An apology. Even just the word received. Nothing. 3 days later, I called home. My mother answered, "Oh yes, your father mentioned you finished." "That is good, sweetheart. Is he going to say anything? Is the computer thing done now?" Pause. "I am sure everything is fine. We are having roast chicken Sunday. Will you come?" No apology. No recognition. No closure. Just roast chicken. I hung up and sat in my dorm room, staring at the Dell workstation. The $3,000 theft. I understood something new about my family that day. The debt was never about money. It was about power. My father did not want repayment. He wanted submission. And by paying back every cent, by keeping every receipt, by refusing to break, I had denied him that satisfaction. He would never forgive me for it. What I did not know, while I worked double shifts to repay a debt that should not have existed, my father was telling a different story, at industry dinners, at professional gatherings, at every opportunity. My daughter? Oh, we had some trouble. Sticky fingers, if you know what I mean. We are handling it privately. The whispers had already begun. I just could not hear them yet. November, junior year, 1 month after my final payment. I was in the architecture studio working on my thesis concept when someone knocked on the door. I looked up. My grandmother stood there, holding a picnic basket, looking at me with eyes that saw everything. "I heard you have been forgetting to eat," she said. We found a quiet spot on the building's rooftop terrace. Sandwiches, apple slices, homemade cookies. Eleanor studied my face, the dark circles under my eyes, the weight I had lost. "You have lost weight." "I am fine, Grandma. You are surviving." "That is not the same as fine." She set down her sandwich. Her expression shifted, became serious. "Stephanie, I need to tell you something about your father." "Grandma, I really do not want to talk about him. He did the same thing to me. In 1987, I went still. I designed the Morrison Cultural Center, my best work. Your father put his name on it, told the client I was just his assistant. That is one of the firm's most famous projects. I know. It made his career. Her voice was steady, not bitter, just factual. When I confronted him, he said I should be grateful he let me work at all. That without him I was nothing. Why are you telling me this now? Because I see what he is doing to you. The same patterns, the same control. She reached across the table, took my hand. I have been preparing, Stephanie, for years, building something he cannot touch. Preparing what? A door, for when you need to escape. Grandma, I do not understand. You will. Her grip tightened. When the time comes, you will have options. Not just survival, real freedom. What if he finds out? Her smile turned fierce. Your father thinks he controls everything. Money, reputation, family. But there are things even Richard Lawson cannot reach. Before she left, Eleanor paused at the studio door. Do you still have the envelope I gave you? The one with the red seal? Yes. I have never opened it. Good. Keep it that way. She kissed my forehead. The world has not turned against you yet. Let us hope it never does. She walked away. I did not know it then. But that was the last time I would see my grandmother healthy. 3 weeks later, she was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. She had 18 months left, and in those 18 months she never stopped preparing. Letters to lawyers, transfers to trusts, meetings with people I had never heard of. She was building an escape route, not for herself, for me, a door my father would never see coming. Catherine Monroe closed the folder gently. Stephanie finished speaking. The conference room was silent. $3,000. Catherine's voice was quiet. He destroyed your career over $3,000 you paid back in full. It was never about the money. No, it was not. Catherine slid the folder across the table. Your grandmother contacted me in 2019, 6 months before she died. My breath caught. She sent me your portfolio, your academic records, letters of recommendation from every professor you ever had. I did not know. She also sent me documentation of every call your father made, every firm he contacted, every lie he told. Catherine's voice hardened. She wanted a record, in case you ever needed proof. Catherine pulled out one final document. A letter, handwritten, Eleanor's elegant script. She also sent me this, a personal letter explaining why she chose Meridian, why she chose me. What does it say? Catherine looked at me with something new in her eyes. Respect, perhaps, or recognition. It says that 40 years ago, I was her student, her protégé, the daughter she wished she had. She paused. And it asks me to do for you what she did for me. Give you a chance when no one else would. The folder sat between us, filled with 15 years of preparation. Everything I had survived. The accusation, the repayment, the whispers I never heard, my grandmother had documented it all. But the question remained. What else had Eleanor prepared? And what would happen when my father discovered his mother had been building a case against him from beyond the grave? I sat frozen in the Meridian conference room, processing what Catherine had just revealed. Eleanor had been Catherine Monroe's mentor 40 years ago. My grandmother had spent her final months building a case, documenting everything my father had done. Not revenge, insurance, protection, love translated into paperwork and legal documents. I do not understand. My voice came out barely above a whisper. Why did she not tell me? Catherine closed the folder gently. Because you were not ready. And because she knew your father was watching. Watching? Richard Lawson has sources everywhere, Ms. Lawson. Your grandmother could not risk him discovering her plans before they were complete. Catherine leaned back in her chair. She told me you would come eventually, that something would force you out of hiding. How could she possibly know that? Because she knew her son. Catherine's voice hardened. She knew the moment you refused to submit, he would try to destroy you. She was right, of course. Grandma always was. The moment I said no, the real no, the one that counted, my father declared war. It happened the day I graduated. May 18th, 2020. Yale School of Architecture commencement ceremony. I stood in front of the mirror in my tiny apartment, adjusting my cap and gown. 6 years instead of 5. Thanks to the debt I had to work off. Thanks to the double shifts and the exhaustion and the semesters I could not afford to take full course loads. But I had made it. Summa cum laude. Dean's List every semester. A portfolio my professors called exceptional. For the first time in my life, I had something that belonged entirely to me. Credentials no one could dismiss, achievement no one could take credit for. I should have felt triumphant. Instead, I felt hollow. The ceremony took place in the university courtyard. Rows of folding chairs stretched across the manicured lawn. Families clutched programs, craning their necks to spot their graduates. I scanned the crowd, searching for familiar faces. Found them, 4th row, center section. My father in his navy suit checking his phone. My mother in her pearls, posture perfect, smile fixed for anyone who might be watching. Olivia beside them, scrolling through Instagram, bored by anything that was not about her. And next to Olivia, an empty seat. Grandma Eleanor's seat. She had died 14 months earlier. The cancer had taken her fast in the end. I had held her hand in hospice, promised to make her proud. Now I was graduating, walking across the stage she had dreamed of seeing me cross, and the one person who had truly believed in me was not there to witness it. The names were called alphabetically. I waited, heart pounding, palms sweating beneath my gown. Stephanie Marie Lawson, summa cum laude. I walked across the stage. Dean Harrison shook my hand, smiled warmly. Exceptional work, Ms. Lawson. You have a bright future ahead. I looked toward my family as I accepted my diploma. My father was talking to Olivia, leaning close, gesturing about something. Business, probably. Always business. My mother was watching the stage, but her eyes were distant, vacant, present in body, absent in everything else. Neither of them was looking at me. I walked off the stage, diploma in hand, completely unseen. After the ceremony, Professor Hendricks found me outside the auditorium. Stephanie, I want you to know I have recommended you to several firms. Top ones. Thank you, Professor. That means everything. You have genuine talent. Do not let anyone tell you otherwise. He paused, studied my face like he could see the exhaustion beneath the smile. And do not let family politics hold you back. I have seen it happen to brilliant students before. I wondered how much he knew. Probably more than I realized. As I thanked him, I noticed my father across the courtyard. He was shaking hands with a silver-haired man in an expensive suit. Something about their interaction made me uneasy. The way my father smiled, the way the man nodded, the way they both carefully avoided looking in my direction. I did not recognize him then. I would learn his name later. Harold Whitmore, senior partner at Whitmore Architecture Associates. One of the firms I had already applied to. Lunch was at the Elm, Hartford's most exclusive restaurant. My father had reserved the private dining room, white tablecloths, crystal glasses. A waiter who knew the Lawsons by name. Congratulations, sweetheart. My mother raised her glass. To Stephanie. We clinked. I smiled. Said thank you. The champagne tasted like disappointment. Before I could say anything about my plans, my father cleared his throat. I have an announcement. All eyes turned to him. Richard Lawson at the head of the table, commanding attention as always. As of next month, Olivia will be joining Lawson & Partners as design director. My stomach dropped through the floor. Olivia beamed. Thanks, Daddy. I have been preparing for this my whole life. You certainly have. Father raised his glass. To Olivia. The future of the Lawson legacy. Everyone drank. My hand trembled around my glass. Design director. Olivia was 22 years old, fresh out of a state school interior design program. Not architecture, interior design. A completely different field. I had just graduated summa cum laude from Yale School of Architecture. 6 years of training, a portfolio that professors called exceptional. But Olivia got the toast. What about Stephanie? My mother's voice was quiet, almost tentative. She just graduated too. My father waved his hand dismissively. Stephanie's situation is different. Different how? I kept my voice level. Neutral. The way you learn to speak when you have been dismissed your whole life. You are not ready for a leadership role. You need seasoning. I have 6 years of training, a 3.9 GPA, a portfolio that won 3 student competitions. Portfolios do not run companies. He cut me off without raising his voice. Loyalty does. Discipline does. Knowing your place does. The table went silent. Olivia smirked into her champagne. Knowing my place. I repeated the words slowly. Let them hang in the air. You have always been headstrong, Stephanie. Independent. He said it like a diagnosis. Like a disease that needed treatment. Those traits need to be channeled properly. My mother placed a hand on my arm. Your father just wants what is best for you. But I saw it clearly now. This lunch was not a celebration. It was a reminder. Olivia was the future. I was an afterthought, just like always. Under the table, my phone buzzed. An email notification. I glanced down, hoping for distraction. RE, application, Whitmore Architecture Associates. My heart leaped. Whitmore was one of the top firms in New England. I had applied 3 months ago, sent my best work, waited anxiously for a response. I opened the email. After careful consideration, we have decided not to move forward with your application at this time. No explanation, no feedback, no invitation to reapply. Just a door quietly closed. After lunch, we walked to the parking lot. My father pulled me aside. A word before you go. My mother and Olivia waited by the car watching. His voice shifted. Softer now, almost paternal. I know lunch was difficult, but I have a proposal for you. My breath caught. Maybe I had misjudged him. Come work at Lawson & Partners. For a moment, hope flickered. We need someone to handle the junior drafting work, documentation, client presentations, that sort of thing. That sounds like entry-level work. It is, but everyone starts somewhere. He smiled. The smile he used with clients. Consider it a training position. Training for what? When Olivia takes over the firm fully, she will need support. A reliable team, family she can trust. I processed his words carefully. You want me to work under Olivia? With Olivia, as her assistant. What is the salary? He laughed. Salary? Stephanie, this is family. We do not pay family. You are offering me an unpaid position. For the first year. Consider it an apprenticeship. You will live at home, save money, learn the business from the ground up. I just spent 6 years learning the business. At Yale. Yale teaches theory. He stepped closer. I am offering practice. Most graduates would kill for this opportunity. Most graduates would be paid. His eyes went cold. Most graduates did not steal from their family. There it was, the $3,000 ghost. Still haunting. I paid that back. Every cent. 4 years ago. The money is not the point. His voice dropped. Trust is. And you have not earned mine back. So this is punishment. This is opportunity, the only one you are going to get. He glanced toward the car, toward Olivia's watching eyes. Come home. Work hard. Prove you can follow before you try to lead. In a few years, when Olivia is established, there might be a real position for you. Translation: serve your sister, earn your keep, know your place, forever. I looked at my father, really looked, saw the calculation behind his concern, the control disguised as opportunity, the cage dressed up as a career. I took a breath. No. His expression did not change, but something behind his eyes shifted, like a door closing, like a predator recognizing prey that would not come willingly. No? He repeated the word like he had never heard it before. No, Dad. I am not going to work unpaid under my sister. You are making a mistake. Maybe, but it will be my mistake. You think you can survive out there without me? Without the Lawson name? I think I have to try. His jaw tightened. The paternal mask slipped away. You want to build your own career? Fine, go ahead. His voice dropped to something cold and final. But do not come crawling back when it does not work out. Do not expect me to make calls, open doors, clean up your messes. I will not. You will regret this, Stephanie. He stepped back, straightened his tie. I promise you that. Olivia appeared beside him, arm linked through his. Everything okay? Your sister has decided she does not need our help. Olivia turned to me, her eyes glittered with something like triumph. Really? You are going solo? I am going to try. Good luck out there, sis. The word dripped with condescension. Without Dad's name, you are nobody. You know that, right? I did not respond. You will be back. She laughed, bright and cruel. They always come back. And when you do, I will make sure there is a nice filing position waiting for you. She led our father toward the Mercedes, still laughing. My mother lingered behind. Her voice was barely audible. Stephanie, please, just say yes. Make this easier. Easier for who, Mom? For all of us. Her eyes glistened. You do not know what he is capable of when he is angry. Then tell me what he does. Silence. Her gaze dropped to the pavement. Just do not make him your enemy. Her voice cracked. He always wins. She walked away, pearls gleaming in the sunlight, spine perfectly straight, soul perfectly bent. I stood alone in the parking lot, diploma in my bag, future uncertain. I had said no. The word I had been afraid to say my whole life. It felt like freedom. It felt like falling. That night, I applied to 11 more architecture firms, sent my portfolio to every company within 200 miles. Surely someone would see my potential. Surely one door would open. By the end of the month, I had been rejected by all of them. The emails were almost identical. After careful consideration, not moving forward. Wish you the best. No interviews, no phone screens, not even a request for references. I did not understand it then. I would not understand for 6 more months, until a professor's phone call revealed the truth. Someone was making calls. Someone was telling lies. Someone was systematically closing every door before I could reach it. And my father always kept his promises. Catherine Monroe spread several documents across the conference table. I watched as she arranged them, my stomach tightening with each new page. The first call your father made was 3 days after graduation. 3 days? Whitmore Architecture Associates. The rejection email you received? Your father had already contacted their hiring director. I remembered the silver-haired man at the graduation ceremony, the handshake, the quick glance in my direction. That man. At the ceremony. He was Harold Whitmore. Yes. Catherine's voice was flat. Your father did not waste time. She spread more documents across the table. Whitmore was just the beginning. Within 6 months, your father had contacted 31 firms in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and New York. 31? The same message every time. His daughter had a history of theft. Problems with authority. Family scandal being handled privately. I felt sick. All those rejection emails. All those closed doors. All that silence. He blacklisted me before I even started. Yes. Catherine met my eyes. He declared war the moment you said no. She pulled out one more document, a printout of call logs, dates, names. But here is what your father did not count on. What? Your grandmother was documenting everything. Every call he made, she knew about. Every lie he told, she recorded. Catherine tapped the stack of papers. She could not stop him, but she made sure there would be evidence. For when you were ready to fight back. I did not even know there was a fight. There has always been a fight, Ms. Lawson. Catherine's expression was unreadable. The question is whether you are ready to finish it. 31 firms, 2 years of silence, a father's war against his own daughter, waged in whispers and phone calls and carefully worded warnings. And underneath it all, a grandmother's quiet documentation. Evidence I did not know existed. Protection I did not know I had. But knowing the truth was only the beginning. The next chapter of my story would take me from Yale graduate to waitress, from promising architect to woman scrubbing tables, and wondering if she would ever design again. Because when Richard Lawson declared war, he did not just close doors, he burned them. I stared at the document spread across Catherine's conference table. 31 firms. 31 calls. 31 doors slammed shut before I could even knock. I did not know. My voice came out hollow. I thought I just was not good enough. That is what he wanted you to think. Catherine's voice was steady. Isolation works best when the victim blames themselves. She leaned forward. Tell me what those 2 years were like. After graduation. I closed my eyes. 2 years of silence. 2 years of rejection emails that said nothing and meant everything. 2 years of watching my savings drain away while I wondered what was wrong with me. It was like drowning in slow motion, and I did not even know someone was holding me under. Let me tell you about the 6 months that broke me, and the phone call that explained everything. November 2020, 6 months after graduation. My daily routine had become a ritual of rejection. Wake at 6 in the morning, check email, nothing. Spend the morning customizing cover letters and tailoring my portfolio for each application. Afternoon, refresh job boards and apply to anything remotely related to architecture. Evening, stare at my phone, willing it to ring. Night, lie awake in the dark, replaying every interview question I had never been asked, wondering where I had gone wrong. 47 applications sent, 47 rejections received. Or worse, silence. The kind of silence that makes you question your own existence. I had applied to firms in Hartford, New Haven, Boston, New York, big firms with glass towers, small firms with character, startups looking for fresh talent, established practices seeking junior architects. The response was always the same, a form email, after careful consideration. We have decided to pursue other candidates. Wish you the best in your future endeavors. No interviews, no phone screens, not even a request for references or additional portfolio samples. Just closed doors and form letters. My savings account told its own story. I had started with $4,200. Everything I had saved from working through college. My rent for the tiny studio apartment was $850 a month. Utilities, food, gas for the car I needed to drive to interviews that never came. By November, I was down to $1,100, 2 more months, maybe 3 if I stopped eating. Then I would have to move back home. The thought made me physically ill. Moving home meant surrendering, meant proving my father right, meant kneeling at his feet and begging for the unpaid position he had offered as a gift. I would rather sleep in my car. Late nights became torture sessions. I would spread my portfolio across the apartment floor and study each piece like it held some secret flaw I had missed. Was my work not good enough? Too ambitious? Too conservative? Not innovative enough? I redesigned my resume 11 times, changed the fonts, reorganized the sections, asked former classmates for feedback. It looks great, Steph, they said. I do not understand why you are not getting calls. Neither did I. The worst part was not the rejection. It was the silence. No one would tell me what I was doing wrong. No one would give me feedback or explain why my applications disappeared into void after void. Because I was not doing anything wrong. I just did not know it yet. One night, scrolling through Instagram when I should have been sleeping, I saw a post from a former classmate, Derek Morrison. He had been hired at Whitmore Architecture Associates, the same firm that had rejected me first, the same firm where Harold Whitmore had shaken my father's hand at graduation. In the comments, someone asked how he got the position. His response made my stomach turn. Just lucky, I guess. They said they had concerns about another candidate and went with me instead. Another candidate. Concerns. I stared at those words until my phone screen went dark. December 2020. The week before Christmas. I was sitting in my apartment, surrounded by rejection emails I had printed out like evidence of my own failure, when my phone rang. Professor Hendricks. My heart leaped. Maybe a recommendation had come through. Maybe someone had finally seen my potential. Professor, do you have news? Long pause. Too long. Stephanie, I need to tell you something. And I am sorry I did not call sooner. The hope in my chest turned to ice. I had lunch with Harold Whitmore last week, old colleague from my days in practice. We were catching up and your name came up. Whitmore? They rejected me months ago. I know. I asked him why. You were one of my best students. I could not understand it. My grip tightened on the phone. He was uncomfortable. Said they had received information about you, from a senior industry figure. Information? What information? That you had a history of theft, that you were difficult and unreliable, that your family was handling a situation privately. The room tilted, walls closing in. Theft? That is not. I know. His voice was heavy. I defended you. Told him it was nonsense, but the damage was done. How many firms? My voice was barely a whisper. I made some calls today. Reached out to contacts at other practices. Pause. Everyone has heard the same thing, Stephanie. Someone has been calling, warning them about you. Someone. They will not say who directly, but the description is always the same. Older man, industry veteran, very well connected. I knew. Of course I knew. It is my father. Silence on the line. I suspected, Professor Hendricks finally said. I am so sorry. I have seen family politics before, but this is something else entirely. This is war. What do I do? My voice cracked. 2 years of exhaustion and rejection finally breaking through. Honestly, I do not know. His reach is extensive. The Lawson name carries weight in every firm from here to Boston. So I just give up? No. His voice hardened. You are too talented for that, but you might need to leave the region. Start fresh somewhere he has not poisoned. Leave Connecticut? Leave New England, maybe further. He paused, or wait him out. He cannot call every firm in America. But I heard what he did not say. Richard Lawson could certainly try. After hanging up, I sat in the dark for an hour. Then I opened my laptop and searched Lawson and Partners' recent partnerships. The results made my breath catch. In the past 6 months, my father had announced joint ventures with 3 of the firms that had rejected me. He was not just blacklisting me. He was building an empire on my exclusion. Every door he closed for me opened one for him. The next morning, I drove to Lawson and Partners headquarters, a converted Victorian mansion in downtown Hartford. I had grown up running through these halls, playing hide-and-seek in the conference rooms while my father worked late. Now they felt like enemy territory. The receptionist at the front desk was Margaret. She had worked there for 20 years, watched me grow up. Stephanie. Her face lit up. We have not seen you in so long. Is my father in? Her smile faltered. He is in a meeting, but I can check if I will wait. I sat in the lobby, surrounded by framed awards and magazine covers. My father's face everywhere, smiling, successful, respected. Including, I noticed, the Morrison Cultural Center Award. Grandma Eleanor's design. Her name nowhere to be found. 45 minutes. I did not move. Finally, my father emerged from the conference room, clients in tow. He saw me. His expression did not change. Gentlemen, excuse me, family matter. He led me to his office, closed the door behind us. The room was all dark wood and leather, diplomas and accolades covering every wall, the smell of his cologne, the soft tick of an antique clock. You have been calling them. I did not sit. Every firm I applied to. He settled into his chair, utterly calm. Have I? Do not pretend. Professor Hendricks told me everything. Hendricks, a dismissive wave, academics, always so dramatic. You told them I was a thief. I told them the truth. He steepled his fingers. You took money without permission. That is theft. I paid it back, every cent, 4 years ago. That is not the point. Then what is the point, Dad? To destroy me? To teach you? His voice was patient, almost kind, which made it worse. You had a choice. You could have come home, worked hard, earned your place. Instead, you chose pride. I chose independence. Same thing. He shrugged. And now you are learning what independence costs. You are ruining my career. I am pausing it. He leaned forward. When you are ready to come home, really ready, humble and grateful, I will make one phone call, just one, and every door will open. And if I do not come back? His smile did not reach his eyes. Then I suppose you will have to find a different career. I stared at my father, the man who was supposed to protect me, the man who was methodically destroying my future to prove a point. Why? The word came out broken. Why do you hate me so much? Something flickered in his eyes. Not guilt, not regret, annoyance. I do not hate you, Stephanie. I am disappointed in you. There is a difference. He turned back to his computer. Dismissing me. Close the door on your way out. I walked through the lobby, past the conference room where his meeting had been. Through the glass, I saw the attendees still gathering their things. One of them looked up. David Chen, senior partner at Chen and Associates, a firm I had applied to 3 weeks earlier. He met my eyes for a moment, then looked away quickly, shame flickering across his face. They were all in on it, the whole industry. And my father was the puppet master. I drove to the family home. Maybe my mother did not know. Maybe she could help. Last hope. Last family member who might still be family. Victoria was in the garden. Pruning roses. Pearls in place even for yard work. Always the image. Mom. She looked up, saw my face, went pale. Stephanie. What is wrong? Did you know? Know what, sweetheart? Do not sweetheart me. Did you know Dad was calling every firm? Telling them I am a thief? Her pruning shears went still. Silence. That was answer enough. How long? My voice was barely a whisper. He is your father. He knows what is best. How long? She flinched. Set down the shears. Since graduation. Her voice was almost inaudible. He said it was for your own good, that you needed to learn. And you just let him? What was I supposed to do? Something. Anything. Her eyes filled with tears. But she did not move toward me. You do not understand, Stephanie. Your father when he decides something. So you just watched. For 6 months. While he destroyed my career. While I thought I was going crazy. I thought you would come home eventually. You thought wrong. I stepped back. I am not coming home. Not now. Not ever. Stephanie, please. You made your choice, Mom. You chose him. Like you always do. I walked to my car, did not look back. Behind me, I heard my mother crying. I did not stop. As I drove away, my phone buzzed. Instagram notification. I should not have looked, but I did. Olivia had posted a photo, the whole family at dinner, celebrating Lawson and Partners' new strategic partnership. Caption: so grateful for family who always supports each other. I was not in the photo. I had not been invited. I had not even known about the dinner. I turned off my phone and drove until I could not see the mansion in my rearview mirror anymore. January 2021. Savings, $312. Rent due in 2 weeks, $850. No callbacks, no interviews, no hope. I sat in my apartment, surrounded by rejection emails, and faced the truth. I had 2 choices. Call my father and surrender, or find another way. Surrender was not an option. I searched job boards, not for architecture positions anymore, for anything, retail, food service, cleaning, anything with a paycheck. Most places wanted experience I did not have. Then one listing caught my eye. Rosie's Diner. Waitress needed, no experience necessary, must be willing to work hard. Rosie's Diner was a small place on the outskirts of Hartford, checkered floors, vinyl booths, coffee that never stopped brewing. I walked in, resume in hand. Pointless, but habit. A woman looked up from behind the counter, 45, dark hair streaked with silver, eyes that had seen everything and judged nothing. You are not here for the eggs, are you? I am here about the job. She studied me. What is your story? I am an architect who cannot get hired. Why not? I hesitated, then decided on truth. My father blacklisted me from the industry. She did not blink. Sounds like you need more than a job. You need a place to land. I just need to survive. She nodded slowly. I can work with that. She extended her hand. Elena Martinez. Welcome to Rosie's. Minimum wage plus tips. Shifts are 6 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon, or 2 in the afternoon to 10 at night. I will train you myself. When can I start? Tomorrow morning. Be here at 5:30. I felt tears prick my eyes. Thank you. You do not know. Yeah, I do. Her voice softened. We all land somewhere, honey. The question is whether we get back up. She handed me an apron. I tied it around my waist. From Yale architecture graduate to diner waitress in 8 months. My father thought he had broken me. Thought I would come crawling back. He was wrong. I did not know it yet, but this diner would become my sanctuary. And Elena Martinez would become the mentor I did not know I needed. The war was not over. It was just beginning. 5:30 in the morning. January 4th, 2021. My first real shift at Rosie's Diner. The coffee was already brewing when I pushed through the back door, the smell hitting me like a wall. Burnt grounds and bacon grease and something that might have been hope. Elena handed me an apron without a word. Tied it yourself. You will be doing it 100 times. My feet were aching by 8. My back was screaming by noon. I dropped a tray of pancakes on day 2, spilled coffee on a customer's lap on day 3, watched the syrup slide across the checkered floor like my dignity melting away. Elena did not yell. She just handed me a mop and said, "Everyone breaks dishes. The good ones learn to carry more." At Yale, I was Stephanie Lawson, summa cum laude, future architect, design competition winner, professor's favorite. At Rosie's, I was just Steph, the new girl who could not balance a tray without trembling. No one asked about my degree. No one cared about my portfolio or my 3.9 GPA. I was invisible here. And for the first time in months, that felt like relief. I thought waitressing would be a temporary stop. A few months to save money, regroup, figure out my next move. I did not know it would become my life for 2 years. Or that Rosie's Diner would teach me more about survival than Yale ever did. The routine became my rhythm. Morning shift, 5:30 to 2 in the afternoon. Coffee pots filled before sunrise. Eggs cracked by the dozen. Bacon grease permanent on my clothes no matter how many times I washed them. The regulars started arriving at 6. Truck drivers needing fuel before long hauls. Construction workers grabbing breakfast before the job site. Nurses ending night shifts with exhausted eyes and grateful smiles. They wanted hot coffee, fast service, and someone who remembered their orders. I learned. Frank liked his eggs over easy with extra crispy hash browns. Maria wanted decaf but pretended it was regular so her daughter would not worry. Old Mr. Patterson came every day at 7:15, ordered the same oatmeal, and read the same newspaper from front to back. Small rituals, small kindnesses, a world my father would never understand. Minimum wage was $7.25 an hour. The real money came from tips. Good day, $60 to $80, bad day, $30 if I was lucky. I learned to smile through rudeness. Refill coffee before being asked. Remember names and orders and birthdays and anniversaries. Service industry humbles you fast, Elena told me one morning. Either you learn to see people as people, or you burn out. I learned. I had no choice. The physical toll came fast. My feet blistered the first month. I bought gel insoles with my first paycheck. My hands grew rough from hot plates and dish soap, calluses forming in new places. No longer from drafting pencils and architectural models. Now from carrying 4 plates at once and scrubbing grease traps at closing time. I lost more weight, gained it back slowly when Elena started feeding me end-of-shift meals. "You are too skinny," she would say, sliding a plate of meatloaf in front of me. "Eat. It is not pretty, but it is protein." I ate, gratefully. No one at Rosie's knew I had a Yale degree. No one knew my father was Richard Lawson, industry titan. No one knew I had been blacklisted from my own profession by my own blood. I was just Steph, waitress, nobody. There was freedom in that, and grief. Some mornings, carrying plates of eggs to strangers, I would catch my reflection in the chrome coffee machine. Distorted, unrecognizable. The girl who designed buildings was becoming the woman who served breakfast. I did not know if that was survival or surrender. One morning, a customer left a magazine on his table. Architecture Digest. I picked it up to throw it away, and my father's face stared back at me from the cover. Richard Lawson, Building the Future of American Architecture. I stood there, frozen, holding the magazine like it might bite. Elena appeared beside me, took it gently from my hands. Old life? I nodded. She threw it in the trash without another word, did not ask questions, did not push, just protected me from something I could not protect myself from. 3 months into the job, slow afternoon. The lunch rush had ended and the dinner crowd had not started. Elena and I were wiping down tables, working in comfortable silence. "Can I ask you something?" I said. "You can ask. Doesn't mean I will answer. How did you end up here, running a diner?" Her cloth stopped moving. "You mean what is a smart woman like me doing in a place like this?" "I did not mean it like that. I know," she smiled, sad and knowing. "I was a CPA in my previous life, 15 years at a Hartford accounting firm. Good salary, corner office, the whole dream. What happened?" Her eyes went distant. "My husband got sick. Cancer, the aggressive kind. I took time off to care for him. 3 months became 6, 6 became a year. I am sorry, he died on a Tuesday morning." She said it matter-of-factly, but her voice trembled underneath. Beautiful spring day. Birds singing, all that poetic nonsense. When it was over, I went back to work. My position was filled. No one wanted to hire a 42-year-old accountant with a gap in her resume. That is not fair. Corporate world has no room for grief. She shrugged. No room for life happening. "So you bought a diner? With his life insurance. The original owner was retiring. The price was right. I did not know anything about running a restaurant. Learned as I went. Made every mistake you can imagine. Do you miss accounting? Sometimes?" She looked around the diner, the worn booths, the regulars nursing coffee, the chaos of the kitchen. The numbers were clean, made sense. But here I matter, not to a spreadsheet, to people. She nodded toward the window. "Frank's wife left him last year. He comes here because we remember his name. Mrs. Patterson's husband died in 2019. She comes here because we ask about her grandkids." She turned to me, eyes serious. "That is worth more than a corner office. You think I am failing because I am here." I said it quietly. The fear I had not spoken aloud. "You are not failing, Steph. You are in transition. Transition to what? That is for you to figure out." She put a hand on my shoulder. "But do not you dare let them make you small." My throat tightened. "My father. Your father sounds like a man who measures worth in power. That is his problem, not yours." She squeezed my shoulder and walked away. That night, I went home and pulled out my laptop for the first time in weeks. I did not apply to architecture firms. There was no point. Instead, I opened a blank design file and just drew. Nothing specific, just lines and shapes and spaces. The way light might fall through a window. The curve of a wall that would make someone feel held instead of trapped. It felt like breathing after holding my breath for months. I stayed up until 3 in the morning. The next day, exhausted but strangely lighter, I showed up to my shift on time. Elena noticed the change. She did not say anything, just smiled. Saturday afternoon, late February. The lunch rush was ending, and I was clearing tables near the back. The bell over the door chimed. I looked up. My father walked in, Olivia beside him, 2 men in expensive suits behind them, business associates, an audience. My blood went cold. Richard scanned the diner. His eyes found me immediately. His smile was sharp, satisfied. "Well, well." His voice carried across the room. What a coincidence. It was not a coincidence. I knew that instantly. He had come here on purpose. He had brought witnesses. "Table for 4, please." He was talking to me. making sure everyone knew I was the waitress here. Booth or counter? My voice did not shake. Small victory, booth. By the window. I want everyone to see us. I led them to a booth, handed out menus. My hands were steady. Years of my father's cruelty had trained me for this. Stephanie, say hello to Robert and James, partners at Morrison Bradley Architecture. The two men looked uncomfortable. They had not known this was the plan. Hello. I did not offer my hand. I was a waitress here, not a colleague, my daughter. Richard's voice rose, loud enough for the tables around us to hear. Yale graduate. Decided corporate architecture was not for her. Prefers the service industry now. Olivia laughed, high and cruel. The tips must be amazing. What can I get you? I kept my voice flat. Richard made a show of studying the menu. What do you recommend? You must know this menu by heart by now. The Reuben is popular. Is that what you eat? Staff meals? He turned to his companions. She always did have simple tastes. One of the men, Robert, shifted uncomfortably. Richard, maybe we should. 4 Reubens. And coffee. Make sure it is hot. I wrote it down, walked away. Behind me I heard Olivia giggle. I cannot believe she actually works here. In the kitchen my composure cracked, hands shaking as I clipped the order to the line. Eyes burning. But I would not cry. Not here. Not because of him. Elena appeared beside me. I saw. You okay? That is my father out there. Her eyes went hard. The one who... Yes. She looked through the service window at Richard Lawson, holding court in her diner. You want me to spit in his coffee? Despite everything, I almost laughed. No, I want to serve him his food, take his money, and watch him leave. Why? Because that is what he does not want. He wants me to cry, to run, to break. I took a breath. I will not give him that. I carried out 4 Reubens, 4 coffees. Set them down perfectly, not a drop spilled. Anything else? Richard watched me, waiting for the crack. No, this will do. I turned to walk away. Stephanie, I stopped, did not turn around. You know, there is still a position available at the firm. Filing, administrative work. It is not too late to come home. Now I turned, looked him in the eye. I am home, Dad. I walked away. Behind me, silence. When Richard's group finally left, I found their table. The check was paid, cash, exact amount, no tip. And underneath the empty coffee cup, a business card for Lawson and Partners. 2 words written on the back in my father's handwriting. Last chance. I put the card in my pocket. Not because I was considering it, but because someday I wanted to remember what he had done. Every humiliation, every cruelty. Evidence for a future I could not yet see. 10 at night. Diner closed. Stephanie sat in an empty booth, staring at nothing. Elena slid in across from her. Set down 2 glasses of whiskey. I do not usually drink. Tonight you do. They drank in silence. That man, Elena finally said, is a monster. He is my father. Those are not mutually exclusive. I turned the glass in my hands. He came here to break me. In front of his colleagues. In front of everyone. Did he? What? Did he break you? I thought about it. The shaking hands in the kitchen, the burning eyes, the urge to run, but also the steady service, the flat voice, the refusal to cry. No, he did not. Then you won. It does not feel like winning. It never does. Not at first. Elena finished her whiskey. Listen to me, Steph. You are going to get out of this. I do not know how, I do not know when. But you are too smart, too stubborn, too damn talented to stay stuck forever. What if I am not? What if this is it? Then you make this good. You build something here. But I do not think that is your path. She stood, grabbed her keys. Your path is still out there. You just cannot see it yet. She left. I pulled out my phone. Opened the architecture competition page I had bookmarked weeks ago. National Architecture Innovation Award. Open submissions. Deadline, 6 months away. Maybe. Just maybe. That night in my cramped apartment, I made a decision. I could not fight my father directly. He controlled the industry, the narrative, the doors. But he could not control everything. He could not control anonymous submissions, national competitions, work judged on merit, not name. I opened a new project file, named it the Resilience Center, and I began to design. For the next 6 months, I lived a double life. By day, waitress at Rosie's Diner, invisible, surviving. By night, architect in secret, designing a building that would tell my story without using my name. I told no one, not Elena, not my old professors, certainly not my family. The fewer people who knew, the less chance my father could sabotage it. I was building a door he could not lock, just like my grandmother had promised. May 2022. Submission deadline approaching. 11:47 at night. 13 minutes before cutoff. I stared at my laptop screen, the upload button, my entire future compressed into digital files. I had used my own name, Stephanie Lawson, not Lawson and Partners, just me. If my father found out, he would destroy it somehow. Find a way to poison this too. But I was done hiding, done being afraid. I pressed submit and waited. May 2022, the moment after pressing submit. I stared at the confirmation screen until my eyes burned. Your submission has been received. Finalists will be notified within 90 days. 90 days. 3 months of not knowing. I closed my laptop and looked around my cramped apartment. Design files scattered across every surface. Coffee cups with dried rings at the bottom. Takeout containers I kept forgetting to throw away. 6 months of my life compressed into one digital file, now floating somewhere in cyberspace, being judged by strangers who did not know my name meant anything. The next morning I went back to Rosie's Diner, tied my apron, poured coffee, smiled at regulars. No one knew what I had done the night before. No one knew about the Resilience Center, or the competition, or the hope I was terrified to feel. I kept it locked inside, a secret garden growing in my chest. If I spoke it aloud, my father might somehow hear, might somehow destroy it the way he destroyed everything else. So I stayed silent, and I waited. But to understand what I built and why, I need to take you back further. To the summer I was 12 years old, and my grandmother showed me what architecture really meant. Summer of 2007. I was 12, spending 2 weeks at Grandmother Eleanor's brownstone in New Haven. The house smelled like lavender and old paper, the scent of a lifetime spent creating things that mattered. Every room was filled with books and blueprints and architectural models, evidence of a mind that never stopped designing. On the 3rd day of my visit, Eleanor led me up to the attic. A narrow staircase I had never noticed before, hidden behind a door I had always assumed was a closet. I want to show you something I have never shown anyone else, she said. The attic was not what I expected, no dusty boxes or forgotten furniture. Instead, it was a small room, climate-controlled, locked with a key Eleanor wore on a chain around her neck. Inside were filing cabinets, flat files for storing large documents, rolled blueprints organized by decade, an archive of a lifetime's work. What is all this, Grandma? My real work. She turned on the lights, revealing rows and rows of carefully preserved documents, the buildings they put your father's name on. She pulled out a set of blueprints and spread them across a large table. The Morrison Cultural Center, 1987, your father's breakthrough project. I recognized the building. Everyone in Hartford did. It had won awards, been featured in magazines, made my father's reputation. I know this building. Dad has the award in his office. He has my award in his office. Her voice was steady. Not bitter, just factual. I designed every room, every angle, every window placement. When I presented it to the client, your father introduced me as his assistant. I did not understand. Why did you not say something? I did. Once? Your grandfather told me to be grateful I was allowed to work at all. Your father said if I made trouble, he would remove me from the firm entirely. So you just let them take credit? I survived. Her eyes met mine. There is a difference. She sat down on a worn leather chair and pulled me close. I am telling you this not to make you hate your father. He is already doing that to himself. Then why? Because I want you to understand something about architecture, about creation. She gestured at the hidden archive surrounding us. Buildings are not just steel and glass, Stephanie. They are stories. They are shelter. They are the physical shape of how we care for each other. I do not understand. You will. Someday you will design something. And when you do, I want you to remember this. The best buildings are not monuments to the architect. They are gifts to the people who use them. Gifts? Spaces where people feel seen, feel safe, feel human. Her eyes were bright with something I could not name. That is what I tried to create, even when no one knew my name was behind it. I looked around the archive. Decades of work, hundreds of designs, all hidden, all stolen. Grandma, I want to be an architect, like you. She smiled, the real smile, the one she saved for moments that mattered. Then promise me something, anything. Promise me you will build for people, not for credit. That you will create spaces that heal, not just impress. I promise. And promise me one more thing. Her grip tightened on my hand. When your father tries to take credit for your work, and he will try, you will not let him. You will fight in ways I never did. I did not fully understand then, but I nodded. I promise, Grandma. She kissed my forehead. That is my girl. Before we left the attic that day, Eleanor pressed something into my hand. A small brass key, old and ornate. This opens a safety deposit box at Hartford Savings Bank. Box 1247. When I am gone, what is inside belongs to you, not your father, not your mother, you. I kept that key hidden in my jewelry box for 15 years. I never forgot the number. 1247. I just never had the courage to use it. Not until now. My eyes refocused on the Meridian conference room. I had been silent for a long moment, lost in memory. Catherine Monroe waited patiently. Your grandmother, she said softly. She shaped how you see architecture. She shaped everything. I can see that in your competition entry. The Resilience Center. Catherine pulled out a printed copy of my submission. Tell me about this design. The Resilience Center was not just a building. It was an answer to 2 years of invisibility, 2 years of being told I was worthless. A community hub designed for people pushed to society's margins. Single mothers needing affordable childcare while they worked 2 jobs. Veterans struggling to reintegrate, needing space that did not feel institutional. Elderly isolated from family, needing connection without condescension. Immigrants finding their footing, needing resources without bureaucratic coldness. Every choice in the design was intentional, natural light in every room. Because I knew what it felt like to work in windowless spaces, to feel forgotten in dark corners. Open sightlines, but private corners. Because dignity requires both community and solitude. Sometimes you need to be seen, sometimes you need to hide. Childcare adjacent to job training. Because I had watched single mothers at Rosie's juggle impossible logistics, leaving children with strangers so they could learn skills that might lift them out of poverty. A central courtyard with varied seating. Because Mr. Patterson came to the diner every day just to feel less alone. Because connection should not require money. Materials that were warm but durable. Because the people who needed this space deserved beauty, not just function. Because dignity is not a luxury. But emotion alone did not win competitions. I had learned structural engineering at Yale. I used every lesson. The building was designed for efficiency. LEED Platinum certification standards. Modular construction to reduce costs and timeline. Flexible spaces that could adapt as community needs changed. Budget projections that were realistic, not aspirational. I had done the math. The building could actually be built. Why Resilience Center? Catherine asked. I looked at the design. My baby, my secret, my hope. Because that is what the people who would use it have. Resilience. They are not broken. They are just in transition. I paused, remembering Elena's words. The building should honor that, not fix them, support them while they fix themselves. Catherine nodded slowly, something shifting in her expression. Your grandmother would be proud. I hope so. What I did not tell Catherine: I had designed the Resilience Center in stolen hours, exhausted and half delirious between waitressing shifts and sleepless nights. Some sections were drafted on napkins at Rosie's, hidden under my apron when customers approached. The final rendering was completed at 4 a.m. the night before the deadline, my hands shaking from coffee and fear. It was not just a building. It was proof that 2 years of sabotage could not kill what my grandmother had planted in me. The 3 months of waiting were torture. Every day I checked my email obsessively. Every day, nothing from the competition committee. But worse than the waiting was the fear. What if my father found out? I had been careful, paranoid even, submitted under my legal name Stephanie M. Lawson, not Lawson and Partners. Used my personal email, not any account my father could access. Listed my address as a post office box, not my apartment. Never mentioned the competition to anyone. Not Elena, not old classmates, no one. I deleted my browser history after every research session. If my father searched for my name in connection with architecture, he would find nothing. But paranoia could not cover everything. July 2022. 2 months after submission. I was scrolling through Instagram during my break at Rosie's when I saw Olivia's latest post. Lawson and Partners summer party, champagne glasses and designer dresses, and my father's smile lighting up the frame. I almost scrolled past. Then I saw the caption. Exciting news coming soon. Big announcement about a major partnership. Dad has been working on something huge. Partnership with whom? What announcement? My mind raced. The competition winner would be announced publicly. Industry publications would cover it. If I won, if I even placed, my father would find out. And then what? That night, I could not sleep. I pulled out my laptop and searched National Architecture Innovation Award sponsors. The results made my stomach drop. The award was sponsored by Meridian Development Corporation, one of the largest development firms in America. And according to their website, they were currently evaluating potential partnerships for a major project called Harborview Tower, the same project Olivia had been hinting about. The worlds were colliding, and I was standing directly in the crossfire. August 2022, 3 weeks before the finalist announcement. I was deep cleaning my apartment, trying to distract myself from the waiting, when my phone buzzed. Architecture school group chat, mostly dormant since graduation. A former classmate had shared a link. Check out this new project from Lawson and Partners. Thoughts? I clicked, heart already sinking. Lawson and Partners website. Newly updated. Introducing our submission for the Hartford Civic Center redesign. Lead designer, Olivia Lawson. I scrolled through the renderings. Modern, elegant, ambitious, and horrifyingly familiar. The central atrium, the cascading light wells, the way public and private spaces interweaved. I had seen this design before. Not in Olivia's portfolio, not in any contemporary architecture journal. In my grandmother's attic, 15 years ago. This was one of Eleanor's unrealized concepts. A civic center she had designed in 1994, shelved when funding fell through. Olivia had not designed this. She had stolen it from a dead woman's archive. My hands shook as I scrolled through the comments. Stunning work. Olivia Lawson is the future of the firm. Like father, like daughter. No one knew, no one suspected. My father had built his career on Eleanor's stolen work. Now Olivia was doing the same. The Lawson legacy. 3 generations of theft disguised as talent. I wanted to scream, wanted to expose them, but I had no proof. The attic archive was in my father's possession now, probably destroyed. Or was it? The brass key, box 1247. Grandmother had said what was inside belonged to me. Maybe the proof I needed was waiting. Had been waiting for 15 years. I dug through my jewelry box until I found it. The small brass key, tarnished now but unmistakable. Hartford Savings Bank. Box 1247. I had been too scared to use it before, too unsure what I would find. But now, with Olivia parading our grandmother's stolen work, with my father's empire built on invisible theft, I needed to know. Tomorrow was Saturday, my day off. I would go to the bank, and whatever was in that box would change everything. Saturday morning, August 2022. I woke early, the brass key on my nightstand. Today I would go to the bank, finally open box 1247, finally discover what my grandmother had been protecting. I was making coffee when my phone buzzed. Email notification. My heart stopped. Subject line, National Architecture Innovation Award. Finalist notification. My hands trembled as I opened it. Dear Ms. Lawson, we are pleased to inform you that your submission, the Resilience Center, has been selected as one of 5 finalists for the 2022 National Architecture Innovation Award. I read it 3 times, then 3 more. Finalist. Out of hundreds of submissions. I was a finalist. The email continued. The final judging panel will include representatives from our sponsor, Meridian Development Corporation. The winner will be announced at a gala ceremony in New York City on October 15th. Meridian Development Corporation, the company evaluating partnerships for Harborview Tower, the company my father was trying to work with. I sat down heavily, coffee forgotten. I was a finalist. My secret project had made the final 5, but the announcement would be public. Industry publications would cover it. My father would find out. There was no avoiding it now. I looked at the brass key, still on my nightstand. 2 paths forward, 2 revelations waiting. Box 1247 and whatever grandmother had hidden there. And a gala in New York where everything I had built in secret would finally see light. I picked up the key, felt its weight in my palm. I had been hiding for 2 years, surviving, waiting. But hiding time was over. My grandmother had prepared something, a door my father could not lock. It was time to find out what was behind it. I grabbed my jacket, pocketed the key, headed for Hartford Savings Bank. Whatever I found there, I was done being invisible. Saturday morning, August 2022. I stood outside Hartford Savings Bank, the brass key heavy in my pocket. The building was old, stone facade with brass fixtures, built in 1923. My grandmother would have appreciated the architecture. The craftsmanship of an era that believed banks should inspire trust. Inside, the lobby echoed with history. Marble floors worn smooth by a century of footsteps. Teller cages from another era, now mostly decorative. The smell of old paper and polished wood. I approached the main desk. I would like to access a safety deposit box, number 1247. The bank manager, a woman in her 60s with silver-rimmed glasses, studied my identification. Her nameplate read, Mrs. Chen. Lawson. She looked up. Are you related to Eleanor Lawson? She was my grandmother. Mrs. Chen's expression softened. She was a remarkable woman. I am sorry for your loss. You knew her? She came in every few months, always alone, always asked me not to mention her visits to anyone. She paused, something shifting in her eyes. She said someday her granddaughter would come with a brass key. She told you about me? She said you would come when you were ready. Mrs. Chen smiled sadly. I have been waiting 18 months. Mrs. Chen led me to the vault. Walls of metal boxes stretched from floor to ceiling, each one holding someone's secrets, someone's hopes, someone's evidence. Box 1247 was in the middle row, not too high, not too low. Eleanor had chosen carefully, as always. I inserted the key, turned it. The box slid out, heavier than I expected. Take your time, Mrs. Chen said. I will give you privacy. She closed the vault door behind her. I was alone with whatever my grandmother had hidden for 15 years. Inside the box, I found a thick manila envelope sealed with red wax. Eleanor's signature, a leather-bound journal worn with age, a USB drive labeled Archive Backup, 1962 through 2019, a smaller envelope with Open Second written in Eleanor's hand, and at the bottom, a handwritten letter. The letter on top, meant to be read first. My dearest Stephanie, if you are reading this, I am gone, and you have finally needed the door. Everything in this box is yours. The evidence, the truth, the ammunition. Use it wisely. Use it when you are ready. And remember, the best revenge is not destruction. It is building something they cannot tear down. I love you, always. Grandma Eleanor. My hands trembled as I lifted the leather journal. Inside the front cover, Eleanor had written a date. February 3rd, 2021, last entry, 3 days before she died. I had visited her in hospice that same week, held her hand as she slept. I had not known she was still writing, still preparing. Even in her final days, my grandmother had been building a door. The memory came flooding back. February 2021, 18 months earlier. Hartford Memorial Hospice. Room 412. The smell of antiseptic and dying flowers. The soft beep of monitors measuring the distance between life and death. Eleanor Lawson, 82 years old, barely recognizable against the white sheets. The cancer had taken everything. Her weight, her strength, her sharp edges that had protected me my whole life. But her eyes were still clear. Still Eleanor. I sat beside her bed, holding her paper-thin hand, watching her chest rise and fall in shallow breaths. You came. Her voice was barely a whisper. Of course I came. I squeezed her hand gently. I come every day. Your father? He was here this morning, for 10 minutes. Her laugh was more cough than sound. 10 minutes, for his dying mother. Grandma, do not exhaust yourself. I am dying, sweetheart. Her eyes found mine with sudden intensity. I can say whatever I want. Her grip tightened, suddenly strong. Listen to me. I do not have much time. Grandma, your father will move fast after I am gone. He will take everything he can, the archives, the designs, the narrative. What do you mean? He has been waiting for me to die, waiting to rewrite history. I do not understand. Her eyes burned with the last of her fire. I have prepared, Stephanie. Everything I could not protect while alive, I have protected for after. The safety deposit box? That, and more. She coughed, a terrible rattling sound that shook her whole body. Robert Ashford, my lawyer. He has instructions. After the funeral, he will find you. What instructions? The door, sweetheart. The door I promised you. Her eyes were closing, the effort of speaking exhausting her. Grandma, please. Just rest. Promise me. Her voice was barely audible. Promise me you will not give up. No matter what he does, I promise. Promise me you will build something beautiful, something true. I promise, Grandma. I promise. She smiled, the real smile, the one I had known since childhood. That is my girl. Her eyes closed. 3 days later, she was gone. I was there when Eleanor took her last breath. The room was quiet. No machines. Just the soft beeping of the monitor slowing, then stopping. I had been alone with her. My father was in a meeting. My mother was indisposed. Olivia did not come at all. Eleanor Lawson, founder of an architectural dynasty, died with only her granddaughter at her side, and in her final moment she had squeezed my hand. One last time. One last message. Do not give up. February 8th, 2021. St. Michael's Episcopal Church, packed with Hartford's elite, politicians, developers, architects, everyone who was anyone. They came to mourn Eleanor Lawson, matriarch of the Lawson dynasty, or rather, they came to be seen mourning. I arrived early, took a seat in the 4th row, close enough to see, far enough to breathe. When my family arrived, they walked past me without acknowledgement. Father, mother, Olivia, straight to the front row, reserved seats, family only. I was not family anymore. not in any way that mattered. My father took the podium. Impeccable black suit, practiced grief, calculated pauses. My mother was a remarkable woman. He surveyed the crowd, making sure everyone was paying attention.